Okay, advertising class, Jeff Myers. Hope everybody's doing well on this beautiful Monday. Wanted to talk about traditional media that includes television, radio, magazines, newspapers, and outdoor. Now, some say that internet advertising is traditional, and I'll lump that in as well. But we're in the chapters of print media, radio, TV, and what's called outdoor or billboards. And I just want to talk briefly about the advantages and disadvantages so that everybody's clear. Television has a lot of advantages, and the first thing that it has is its motion. You can see and hear it, and we're used to it. HD makes the commercial look real enticing, or the product. So advertising on television also hits the mass media, or it hits the masses. Think how many people a Super Bowl ad can reach, so you can hit a lot of people at the same time. There's disadvantages, though, including the price of a commercial to use television. Very expensive. A Super Bowl ad is close to about $4.7 million for 30 seconds of airtime. TV is also full of clutter. We got the remote on our lap. We have a laptop on our lap. We're looking at our smartphone. We have TiVo. We got Netflix. How often are we seeing television commercials? And when we do, are we watching them, or are we flipping through and changing channels? So now, because of the amount of channels and the amount of ads called clutter, are we really seeing the advertising that advertisers are paying so much money for? You're seeing the good ones. You're seeing the ones with the boom factor. But are you seeing the ones that just come up in the midst of the news that you've had no interest in the product? It just may go over your head. We're also seeing the ones that we have involvement in. So if you see a car ad and you're looking for a car, you've watched that ad. You are really concentrated on that ad. Sarah McLachlan's ad in The Arms of the Angel, where we're talking about pets that need to be adopted, or would you please donate 29 cents a day? Because most of us are involved by owning a pet, we all see those ads. So remember, as we talked last time, you either have to be involved, or it has to be so good that there's a boom factor, and that means it's hit you and you're thinking about it after the ad is over. So TV is expensive. We don't know if we're getting the dollars, if it's worth the cost, because it's hard to measure how many people are watching the commercials. And, there are those major disadvantages. How about radio? We looked at that in the book. Radio is cheap. Radio's pretty much easy to produce. Radio can be targeted on different channels a lot easier. But the downfall or the disadvantage of radio is, think of the last radio ad you can remember. I mean, Bojangles, I can. O'Reilly Auto Parts, I've heard. It's got to have a real good jingle. It's got to have someone with a voice that carries, that gets your attention, because I got Scan on my steering wheel. Commercial comes on when I'm listening to music, boom, I'm off to the next channel. Unless I'm hungry, I might get a piece of that McDonald's ad, or Bojangles, I may hear a little bit more. So radio is tougher, but it's a lot cheaper in order to get through to people, because you're really only relying on sound. Newspapers. Who reads newspapers? Well, people that are looking for garage sales or the obituaries, or there are people that buy newspapers because they like the feel of the paper. They like to hold something. They like to, cartoons, the classifieds, looking for a garage sale. But other than that, who buys the paper? Not too many. So papers are going downhill in this country, and I'm seeing less and less people use advertising, except if it's very localized. Newspaper advertising is very cheap. It can be very targeted. You can get your ad in the paper the next day if you want. The disadvantage is Not a lot of people read newspapers, and those that do throw it away. They crumble it up. They use it as lining of a cat litter. And the quality of the color in the paper is really not that appealing. So a lot of disadvantages on newspaper. Magazines, a lot higher quality, that nice sheen, that shine. Very, very target marketing with magazines. You go into one of the old bookstores or the airport, a place you can buy a drink, and you see walls of magazines that people buy. There is a magazine for anybody. Tennis, golf, bowling, stamp collecting, traveling, cross-stitching, anything you're interested in, there is a targeted magazine. Magazine advertising is expensive to create, and you need about 6 months lead time before you put your ad into the next edition. So unlike a newspaper, which can be next day, 6 months is the lead time to get your ad in. And who throws away magazines? I've seen magazines on the coffee table of a dentist or doctor's office that was from the early 90s, late 80s. So that ad can get passed around over and over and over. And then we got billboards. I love billboards. They break up the drive. Some people, like Canada, they don't want billboards in their country because they look at it as clutter, eye strain. It takes away from the beauty of the environment. You see a lot of billboards that aren't maintained in this country, especially on I-95 going south. That billboard says something about your company. And if you're not taking care of the billboard, or the company that you put your ad on isn't taking care of it, and there's paper flapping in the wind and looks like it's almost destroyed, that says something about the product that's being advertised. But billboards are everywhere. There's drivers everywhere. It's overall not that expensive. So there's lots of advantages and disadvantages to billboards. Can't use them in Canada, but they're everywhere here, and you either like them or you don't. So lots of different ways that we call traditional media: radio, TV, newspapers, magazine, and outdoor. I'll put internet in there as well. We're talking about traditional forms of media. Non-traditional forms include things like transit advertising, baseball caps, t-shirts, blimps, banners that go behind airplanes on the beach, bathroom advertising above the urinal, behind the stall, the guy or girl flipping the sign on the corner for GNC, the tax guy, on Capitol Boulevard waving. Those are all non-traditional forms that you can use to get your product or service out there as well. So I just want to catch you up on the main differences between traditional and non-traditional media.